evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 11th, 2018 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board. Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Present.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Here.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Present.
Mr. Signor?
Present.
Mr. Tomaso?
Present.
5 present.
Okay, folks, would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Kelly, you want to start us off?
Me? Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So just a couple of actions that we took during the agenda meeting to let everyone know, a couple of changes to the agenda for tonight. One is for Resolution 11818, a motion to amend that resolution was made by Mr. Christou, second by Ms. Miller Herrera, to add a special meeting on May 11th, 2018. That's Friday, May 11th, 2018 at 6 p.m. So that additional meeting will be listed there in the final resolution. And also, a motion was made by Ms. Miller Herrera and a second by Mr. Christou to table resolutions numbers 127 and 128, which appear under the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. So those two resolutions are tabled. So when we vote on the consent items, just to be clear, we will not be voting on those two resolutions. We will be voting on resolutions 126 and 129 through 134. This evening, we are honored to have our county clerk, Mr. Woodward, here. Mr. Woodward also has a secondary job as a great father and husband in the town here, but he also has another position which is part-time theoretically as town historian for the town of Rotterdam. John, do you want to come up and make your presentation tonight to us? Thanks for being here. And John, if you don't mind, you can mention also what we did today. When we went out to the Navy Farm, that'd be great. Thanks.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've given you all a written report, which is required by the New York State Arts and Cultural Law, of my activities as the town historian over the last year and a half or so. I don't know if you remember, I submitted a report last year in the spring, so I did it again this time. I just wanted to briefly go over the report, and I brought an item for show and tell, brought a piece of Rotterdam history tonight to our town board meeting. But let me start by saying that I spent most of my activities as the town historian being involved with the planning for our Rotterdam 2020 celebration, the 200th anniversary of our town. I've been meeting with the supervisor and the deputy supervisor on a monthly basis, where we've been kind of brainstorming and trying to put together some type of focus group or goals for what we will be able to accomplish for the Rotterdam 2020 celebrations. And I've tried to present them in written form with bullet points here. I mean, I believe we need to educate the town to the fact that there is a 2020 celebration coming up. Our birthday is actually April 14th, 1820, which means Saturday we will be celebrating our 198th birthday. But we're still 2 years out, but as we all know, 2 years goes by very quickly. So we have to start kind of putting some meat on the bones in terms of the planning process. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware, is we've printed up some bumper stickers that say Rotterdam Bicentennial, and Town Clerk Marco has been passing them out in her office, which is wonderful, to try to just make our citizens more aware that this celebration, will be coming up. I strongly feel that this celebration should be kind of driven by citizens of the community, governed by a dedicated group of volunteers. So we're in the process of putting together a steering committee in order to figure out what's really doable and what's possible for the activities celebrating our birthday. So the good news is we do have some presence already on our town website, and we've received quite a few comments and suggestions from different people in the community who have given us some ideas of what they feel would be an appropriate level of activity. So we've gotten some really good suggestions, and that has been greatly appreciated. We also need to identify some individuals who have historic knowledge to participate in educational seminars and talks, and we've talked about perhaps putting them in different places around the town of Rotterdam, some here at the town hall, some maybe down at the baby farm or whatever, with the idea of educating the populace about our history, which is just incredibly long history, going back to very old names in this community: Grot, Skimmerhorn, Veeder, Campbell, all the way up until modern times. I mean, many people don't realize that President Jimmy Carter was a resident of our town at some point in time when he was studying nuclear physics at Union College. He actually lived right down the road right past Evans Diner. And he was a citizen of our town for a short period of time. So we need to, identify certain people that can help educate the public. We're also trying to establish some relationships with sister historic groups in the area. We would in particular like to work with the Schenectady County Historical Society of Maybe Farm, which is a wonderful resource that's right in our own hometown. They're just a tremendous group. I would encourage the town board, if you get an opportunity, to join the County Historical Society. It's quite inexpensive. It's only $25 a year for individuals, and it has a lot of really fantastic information. So we need to have an online presence with social media, because part of how we communicate our information today, years ago it was books and other things. Today it's the web, Twitter, Facebook, all those type of things. We are interested in involving our school districts in this celebration. We're thinking about having a contest where we ask art students from Shellmont or Mahonison or whatever to create a logo and have a contest in which we can vote on the official logo for the 2020 celebration. Is a way to get the schools involved. We have to plan for parades, a dinner, oral histories, other kind of traditional activities. We need to produce some signs and banners displayed around the town to make people aware of it. We need to produce items, flags, plates, various tchotchke that people like for those type of things. We need to replace our aging historic markers. We have some historic properties in this town. Some of the markers are quite old, so that should be, one of our goals. We certainly want to involve the town service clubs and business organizations. I spoke to the Rotterdam Rotary and the Rotterdam Businessmen's Association and all that, and they seem very eager to participate in some fashion. So we need to work with all of our various groups: senior citizens, churches, fire departments, little leagues, police department, and just average citizens to decide what information from our history, and we have a long history, and we would like to work with them in order to try to capture some of that information in a format that obviously will be preserved for a long time. We've begun to create a library of historic photos within the town, old ones, and we've had a lot of people contribute some of that. We're going to be encouraging citizens to submit some type of recollections about their experiences of growing up in the town of Rotterdam. And most people have all kinds of stories, and they're just not aware of things like where this town hall is built right now used to be an ice skating rink that people used to ice skate on. Poultry Pond, which is now Memorial Park, was a place where a lot of our citizens learned how to swim. There was a pond there before Memorial Park. And there's many people not even aware of that. So we would like to create a question and answer blog about the various neighborhoods within the community and how they developed. We would like to create a walking map for Rotterdam, some of our historic buildings, to make people more aware of that. And we'd also like to ask people to contribute family photos, and ultimately my goal is to get a scanner and create a database of historic photos or information about some of the families. Everybody has a personal story that, may be relevant to our history. So we would like to do that. We'd also like to be involved with asking our businesses to tell their stories about their growth and their development. It's interesting to know what a building was, over the years, those type of things. So we're certainly open to any ideas related to the bicentennial celebration. I'd encourage anybody, you can go on our town website and there's an email address or there's a phone number for me if you would like to participate. We certainly would like to get as many citizens involved in this effort as we could. On other matters, I've spent about 100 hours on citizens' requests related to genealogical research, information sharing, collecting photographs, and kind of general history questions, so that type of thing. I did bring along a piece of Rotterdam history tonight. I wanted to show, it's right here. This is the document right here that moved the Edison Machine Works to the Schenectady Rotterdam area. And the Edison Machine Works was the precursor of the General Electric Company. And on this document is actually Thomas Edison's signature, his actual signature. That piece of paper was essentially the precursor of the General Electric Company. And I'll stay around later, but if anybody's interested in taking any pictures or looking at it, Edison moved his machine works to Schenectady in 1889. And it was something we discovered in our files. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we have Thomas Edison's signature on file here, one of the great inventors of all time. And that particular document is one of the reasons that the General Electric Company obviously evolved. Part of it was in the town of Rotterdam, part in the city of Schenectady. But that document has a direct connection to why a lot of people have lived and grown up in Rotterdam. And I know just on a personal level, my father, when he got out of the Navy, we were from the Bennington, Vermont area, my family, and my father was a welder, and he came to Schenectady to get a job with the GE, because that's what you did when you got out of the service. So this particular document has some relationship to my family and to other people that worked at the GE for so long. I'd also like to report that Steve and Evan and I met this morning with the Schenectady County Historical Society that seems very interested in becoming partners with us on the celebration, and that we could use their resources. They're just wealth of information. So we're excited to go into some type of partnership with them as we proceed. So I guess I would just open it up to any questions if anybody has anything.
Thank you, John. The only thing I want to add is that we should also note that it's also the bicentennial for the town of Glenville as well. And I believe, Ms. Guna?
No, just Glenville.
Just Glenville. And, we're, in our activities, we're probably going to create a friendly rivalry. Supervisor Tomazone and I went to visit Supervisor Ketzley last week with a scrolled parchment issuing a challenge to reenact the tug of war which happened during the sesquicentennial in 1970, of which we still stand by the fact that Glenville attacked.
Don't say it.
It was, anyway.
There's, let's say that one of the two teams used some apparatus to win the tug of war, as well has been historically reported. So just to continue on that, we're hopefully going to have our first tug of war challenge on Saturday, the first Saturday in July, which I think is the 7th this year. I forget the dates. And then in 2019, same thing. 2020 have kind of the final tug of war, and that just happens to be Saturday, July 4th on it. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a good time. And also, John, just you want to just talk just briefly about the Maybe Farm and last year's Albany Symphony Orchestra event that they had there, and also, what maybe that's upcoming there.
Yeah, the Historic Society received a grant And I know some of you came down, we had literally thousands of people on the banks of the Mohawk, right in the Navy House facility where the symphony played. It was a beautiful night and that type of thing. They're also having it again this year. So we're excited again about the partnership with the Historic Society because they do have some ongoing ideas and they have some ongoing support and resources that would be really helpful for us as we celebrate this. So we're, like I say, very excited with establishing a partnership with them. I mean, the Navy Farm, or the Navy House is the oldest house in the Mohawk Valley, built in the early 1700s. It's right here in our own town, and sometimes citizens are just not aware of what is in their own backyard, is what it comes down to. So certainly one of the goals of the bicentennial is to educate our citizenry about our history, but make them aware of what resources we have right here in the community. So,
You thought about maybe a softball game, Glenville against, this would be pretty popular softball games.
Well, I know that you're very interested in playing.
Well, I'm
We can do that.
out of the police,
The police versus-
police and fire, so I guess maybe I can get in on
Next month,
Glenville.
I will point out that the incident that took place that they're referring to was in 1970. I was 14 years old at the time, and
For softballs.
sounds like you're holding a grudge.
No,
A
no.
long time.
I read comments by, from former, the past supervisor, John Curvin, and then I've heard from different people in a few families who participated in that tug of war. And they were winning the tug of war, and then all of a sudden, a few people from Rotterdam landed in the Mohawk River. So it was an interesting thing. So there's no grudge. It's just a nice, friendly challenge.
Gives you 2 years to get in shape.
Thanks. Here we
We're gonna
go.
start working
Start
out.
working
Here we
out.
go. Yeah. Thank you very much, John.
John,
Thank you very much.
quick question for John. John,
Oh,
before
sure.
we go, I'm assuming that you're also going to be soliciting not only photos like from families and stuff, I mean, photos that they may have gotten that were handed down.
Absolutely.
As far back as, we were taking photos, so.
Yeah, the wonderful thing now is because of the technology is there with a simple scanner
Yeah.
and the ability to enter it in a database, we could have a day or something where we'd ask people, bring us something that you think has some historic relevance, and we could scan it and hand it right back to you. You don't have to worry about losing it or anything else. There's a number of programs out there. I actually went in October to the New York State Public Historians Association. They had a conference in Poughkeepsie. I went, no cost to the taxpayers. And they had various computer programs there, to facilitate things like that. So it would be really a great way. Once you file them in a TIFF format, you can do almost anything with them. So, our ability to capture our history, whether it's photographic or documents or whatever, should be relatively easy. And that's one of the things I'm hoping will come out of the bicentennial celebrations. We'll have a really good library reserve of, we already have a certain amount of information, but certainly we can always augment it. So,
Thanks very much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for all your efforts. Okay, our first order of business now is a public comment privilege of the floor. Is Marco, who's on the list?
Joseph Mealy.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Mealy. I reside at 1104 Barber Drive. I'm a officer in the Rotterdam Senior Association as well as the Pasadena Young at Heart Seniors. One of the biggest questions we hear every time around the Senior Association is where and when is the brass rail going to be open again? Brass rail has been closed at least half of last year and all this year up until today. Today, the senior project director, Trima Diatora, had a light luncheon served, which she's going to do for the next Monday and Wednesdays from 11:30 to 1. But that's not her job. We have a person that's supposed to be running it, and God forbid, she's running around Italy instead of being here. I mean, you can't run a business, be open a week, be open a month, close for 2 weeks, close for 2 months. You yourself, you couldn't run your diner like that. Why do we allow this to happen? Granted, she's a union, she belongs to a union, but there's gotta be some contingency where if she's gonna be sick, or she's got time off, or she loves to have the summer off, you've gotta have somebody there to fill it in. You can't. You lose your customer base. There's other places they're gonna go, they're not gonna come back. The object was to have something at the senior center that was reasonable, convenient for seniors that take classes. They could stop and get a coffee, light lunch in between a class. People that take the DMV course, they're there all day, they get a half hour off, so they're captive. They're a good customer base. They usually have them once a month. You've gotta do something. It can't go on. I mean, you know, I told the seniors last night one way, but I'm gonna put it a little bit different. When you're in the toilet and you're sitting on the pot, you either gotta do what you gotta do, or you gotta get off. And I phrased it differently last night, you know?
I didn't embellish it when I expressed that same sentiment.
Yeah.
But, you know, you did touch on a few of the things. Of course, as a civil service employee, there is a process.
But there's also a process where you can override it, get some temporary help or
And-
something, I'm sure.
Well,
Having worked for the state for many years.
I'm looking for more long-term solution because I
Right,
share your
it's
concerns.
gotta be a long,
I-
it can't be a quick fix
We
because
hear
it's
you.
not gonna last.
We hear you
It's a
loud and
Band-Aid.
clear. And, you know, at this point, I have talked to both the controller's office, I've talked with the town attorney, and we are exploring the options, and that's all I can
Well, while
really
she's
say
in
at this
Italy,
time.
you might wanna invite her to come to the meeting, I'm sure she's not gonna make it, you know, unless she's gonna fly back. But anyway, let me.
Our
before my
concerns
time-
concur with yours.
Okay, before my time is up, we have another problem over there, lack of tables in the auditorium. Over the past couple of years, due to breakage and stuff, tables either haven't been repaired, and when they can't be repaired, they're not being replaced. Right now, we're lacking about 6 to 8 tables. And the problem with the long tables, if you go over there, even the ones you had over here this week, you'll see they're all bowed in the middle. We're getting old, and when we go to stand up, they push. Maybe we want for every 2 long tables, you want to get 3 shorter tables, so there's something firm underneath
Some
them.
6-foot tables then?
Yeah, I think, you know, but you definitely, I mean, the tables get used all over, but there's not enough to go around. Today, they had to come over here to get them for bingo, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So-
We might be able to buy them off a state contract too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
We'll take care of that.
And the other option, the other thing I want to talk about, I know you got an open house scheduled for the senior center in March. Really, May, I'm sorry, May, really, I think you ought to postpone it till the work is done.
Okay.
Because, let's face it, people are gonna come in, they're gonna see this wonderful building with tape all over the floor, tar leaking down the walls, holes, you know, the length of, you're not gonna impress anybody. The classes that we offer are usually done for the summer. So have it in September when you're starting them back up, and you get the people to come right back in. You know, they see it today, they go to the class tomorrow.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you. We'll speak to Jim about that, and so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I speak to Joe's comment? Joe, I want to speak to your comment. So I met with Dreama over here.
Yep.
Sorry. I met with Dreama last week, and we discussed the brass rail, and I haven't had a chance to talk with my fellow board members. In regard to the food, she mentioned she was going to try to put together a couple days a week.
She did a real good job.
She did a good job.
Turnout, people were happy with it.
Pizza and salad, I think she said was going to be
Pizza
her
and salad
her
today, she
opening.
doesn't know what she's doing next week, but
Yes.
people are looking forward to it, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, and she said she kind of has time in her schedule, and there's volunteers that want to help out and serve and
There
do
were
this.
volunteers helping out the other one too, you know?
Yes,
Yeah,
So it's no,
know that we're moving in the direction that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, thank you. Next.
Marge Abdella.
Hi, I'm Marge Abdella. I reside at 2626 Stanton Street. Been there for 20-plus years, and this is my first time doing this. I'm a little nervous. But I am here to discuss an issue with 2611 Gilboa Ave that the police have visited on numerous occasions since October and November. And we have questions, and we're looking for help or direction where to go, because the police seem to need a little help with this. Seems to be an after-hours club, starts at 2 a.m., ends at 6 a.m., every Friday, every Saturday. I can hear them clear as day in my house with my windows closed, and I'm on Stanton Street. Unfortunately, it's stuck in our faces. I've kind of gone through the town laws, looking for directions to go for. So I do have questions. I'm asking if they have a special use permit, a business permit, a liquor license, do they pay taxes? They're renters, so I'm gonna guess not. Do they have to follow fire codes or health codes for this many people being in a building? Do they have enough bathrooms to accommodate? I'm gonna guess not, because I watch them urinate outside. There is quite a bit. Do they have to follow the noise laws? Because 2 a.m. seems a little ridiculous to me. I'm up at 4:30 anyway to go to work, but I'm up now at 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. There are people lined up at their back door to get in, waiting to be allowed in. That kind of looks like a club to me. I am in the restaurant industry, so I kind of know how people look to line up at your door. They have been, 34 cars were parked there last Saturday alone. That doesn't include them parking all over the place. In the new Draper Lofts apartments, they use that parking lot, and they walk around the church, Sal's, anywhere they seem to be able to find it. And if they're not a business, you're telling me they're not, we have a lot of businesses growing there, doing a great job, maybe we could go about it in another way. They're not following the pool codes, your zone. They have a pool back there, granted that goes back to Danny Greco, but he is a landlord and nobody seems to be able to get a hold of him. The pool has stairs that go right up to the deck. I've watched people stumbling. Are we gonna wait for somebody to get hurt? They have a 4-foot fire pit out there. I watched a gentleman stumble out the back door, lean on the building, almost fell into the fire pit. Fortunately, it wasn't lit. What do we do?
Okay, so let me be very brief. I know that we have cases before the court.
Can't hear you.
No worries.
Thank you.
We have cases before the court that are being tried next week regarding that property.
I'd love to be there.
I'm sorry.
I'd love to be there.
What's the date?
Is it open to the public?
It's court room.
Yeah, it's open anyway.
It's April 18th.
So what else can we do? I
We're-
am
we're do-
asking
we're-
all.
we're- well, honestly, Ms. Abdel, we're doing it. How should I say this to you? When there are court cases, they're not necessarily advertised on, something.
I
right?
understand
You understand that, and I know you do. And you and I have had a conversation, and I've had a conversation with other folks about the property there. So, but actions have been taken, and, what can I do in this interim period is continue to have investigations happen and take people that are committing violations of our laws to court, and that's what we're doing.
So do we just keep calling the police every weekend?
Yes. The answer to that question is always yes, okay? Because the bottom line is that if any resident feels threatened in any way, whether it's you, your children, your neighbor, whomever it is, absolutely you need to call 911, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, so don't hesitate. This is
Well, I
honestly-
don't hesitate.
Yeah.
The first time I called, they were like, well, we're a little unsure how to handle this issue. I'm
I
like,
don't know who would have said that to you.
Yeah.
But, you calling 911, you get the central dispatch, and they will dispatch the officers.
okay,
Marge, two things. Number one, I will tell you that At this point, what we can tell you is that we acknowledge your concerns, and whatever solution we find, we want it to be permanent and long-term,
So do we.
okay? Secondly, Deputy Chief Brown is in the back, and I'm sure he'd be glad to talk to you one-on-one about it.
All right, and on
Okay.
a side note, where we appreciated you taking care of the parking spaces on Stanton Street, now that the snow is gone, they have reappeared.
The lines.
Oh, yeah,
The parking.
they'll, I know that they have to paint those. They
Just
will.
because it's a very
They
low
will,
street.
thank you, yeah, thank you. But
Thank
park,
you.
park where you know you need to park. Right now, don't worry about those lines, because there's no signs up. Right, okay, so you'll be okay.
I'll do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Mark?
I'm sorry, the next one, it looks like Brian, maybe?
Right.
Oh.
And Brian, what's your last name?
Rossler, R-O-S-S-L-E-R.
Thank you.
I live on 2630 Stanton Street, and this is in regards to the same problem. Hello, Mr. Thomasone, everybody, I don't know anybody else. That was a great presentation by our town historian, and it was very good, it was very interesting. I found it interesting. Listen, this is a safety issue for the town of Rotterdam, period. You know, we were referring to a quaint little town of Rotterdam that, you know, was back in the Dutch days with the Skimmerhorns. And here we are today with a terrible problem that's probably gang-related with this house. About 6 weeks ago, there was a domestic call for the Rotterdam police. They showed up on a Monday. There was two policemen there. And the guy who was living there was throwing the girl out, who he referred to as a crackhead. And was gonna send her to social services. And this is loud enough for my wife and I to hear through the doors because they're screaming and yelling. There's also been shots fired at this place twice, 2 shots each time. I grew up as a kid with guns. I know a gunshot sound when I hear it. It was gunshots. The volume of traffic that goes through here is like Field of Dreams. From 3 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock, it is a constant flow. The lights are in our house. There's 20, 30 people running back and forth in the backyard. They're taking a cover charge as these people go in. And back to the girl that got thrown out, they started throwing each other under the bus. Oh, wait. I'll wait till
No,
Oh,
no,
they start throwing each other under the bus while they're talking to the police. And she states that, oh, these girls are taking their clothes off at this bar every night, this undercover bar. This, people, is a strip club and an undercover bar for whoever goes out at 3:30 in the morning. It's awful bizarre. What's the attraction? The attraction is it's a strip club, which brings us also to, aren't there rules on this? Are we enticing underage girls to come to this place? There's kids that will live there. They shuffle them in, they shuffle them out. They're before the weekend and then after the weekend, they come back in. This whole thing is an absolute mess. And we've been waiting patiently for some kind of relief from Rotterdam. You know, and this isn't an insult, we're trying to be nice here. If this is above what Rotterdam can do, then we should seek help from another entity, whoever it is. Because this is a big problem. Shutting it down long-term, like you were saying, yes, I'm sure there's avenues that have to be taken in order to do it correctly. But in the interim, and of course we can remain silent, in the interim, I'm afraid to leave my house when I go into work because my wife's home alone, and there could be shots that are fired that are coming into my house. I sit in my kitchen, and I literally sit where there's a safe spot on the wall because I don't want to be shot through my window because they think I'm watching what's going on. I don't sleep. I get up at 2:30 on Saturday, Friday nights, and I get to at 2:30 on Sunday nights, and I watch this go on. The Rotterdam police have tried, but these are very smart business people. They've done this before. This is somebody who's coordinated this. They have valet parking, they have spotters, they go around the corner to see if there's any cops out there. I'm watching this from my kitchen, I'm sorry. I'm watching this from my kitchen as these are criminals looking to see if they can cross the parking lot or not. Why does Annabelle's allow them to park in their in their parking lot. There's gotta be 40 cars in their parking lot. They don't park at Bricklayers, but they do park at Annabelle's. Is he being paid off to let them do that?
No, it's
Well, you're
probably-
shaking your head, but why did they do that?
Well, you know what,
They're
like
not
anything
open.
else, if they're not open.
Well, you put up a sign that says all
Correct.
cars be towed away without using the facility.
Mr.
It's
Rossler,
simple.
and that's something we can talk to the owners of that property about, you know, from a towing perspective, and it may not be something that's been brought to their attention, I don't know, you know, so I'll just mention
And
that to you.
it
that way.
would help if like
But
they
we'll-
lit the place up or something to where they're, you know, where they could see, because there's drug dealing going on behind the building. I watch this every Friday and Saturday night.
I think it would be beneficial for you if you haven't already.
I
spoken to the
I agree
deputy
with
chief.
you, Mr. Council. I just wanted everybody to know the seriousness, goes into gang. When I first went to the police about this, the first thing that I said to him is, this is gang stuff, and wait until the shots are fired. And it took 3 weeks for that to happen before they started firing. We're headed into the good weather. They're gonna be crawling all over the place down there. Please, it's of urgency to take care of this matter, it really is. For the town of Rotterdam, not just for our own houses, but for the town of Rotterdam, it really is. Unless you want a strip club, and then you can turn around and I'll give them all of the certificates they want, you know, that's, if they do it legally, I guess.
No, I hear you loud and clear there.
Thank you for listening, I appreciate your time.
Have you seen advertisements going out for that place? No, I'm serious.
For that place, no, I haven't. Listen, it's so organized, I wouldn't, it's so organized, I wouldn't doubt it. This is a
There are.
very well-oiled,
There are.
business.
Sir, on that,
What we don't want to see is that, you know, we go in and act without all our ammunition, and just the players just change and it keeps going on.
Right, no, I understand that, and it was relief that you said a long-term solution, because we worry about something else happening.
and our grandson.
You know, and the other thing is, you know, I have a grandson, just one, and he's wonderful. But my daughter's questioning whether or not she wants me to let her come over to my house because it's not safe. Every one of you that's gonna go that way with you, one way. If it was in your backyard, you'd be furious, I'm sure you would. It's in our, and I've lived there for 35 years. I want my grandson to come over and enjoy his life with me. So it really, and before somebody gets killed, it's on everybody's hands in the town of Rotterdam. The problem is there, we can't let it fester more. Thank you for your time.
Sir, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
You know, you said that you heard that shots were fired. Did you yourself call the police?
I did,
And did the police respond?
yes, they
Yes.
did.
Okay.
And I actually, that day, when I called, I went around to over where there were a state trooper there and 5 Rotterdam cops. And I drove around and realized all of a sudden I was scared because I actually put myself in danger that somebody's peeking out the window and they saw me and I'm talking to the cops out there. And I don't want to get into throwing anybody under, but I was told by the police a couple of times to turn around and come to the town board meeting, which is, you know, we really don't want to because we're afraid, period. And then to go to the newspaper. And I really don't want to do that to the town of Rotterdam. I think we could try and take care of this without all of Schenectady and everybody know.
And again, like I said to you, we're on it, but it does, many times, these actions take time to build the case.
So we've been in it 6 months.
I know that.
You know, I mean,
I'm not
no,
saying
and
you have.
I'm not
You
trying
and
to
I have
argue.
spoken.
I'm
No,
just
I know
trying
you're
to
not.
let
I know
everybody
you're
know how
not.
long we've been dealing
I
with
know.
this. It goes
I know.
on and on and on. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
thanks,
sir.
thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Jack Dotson.
Jack Dotson, 1311 Cipriano Terrace. That's sobering. My comments will almost be trivial to what I just heard. I just have several small items that I just wanted to bring up to the board for consideration. Very much, again, appreciated the town historian's comments. Very good stuff, amazing stuff in the town of Rotterdam. In light of what he mentioned, there's a few things that I was thinking about, and the timing was very good relative to the bicentennial. One of the things that was brought up, again, was the walking tour, which brings me back to the sidewalk on Curry Road. I'm not gonna let it go, it'd be great. Can you imagine if we had that sidewalk again, 2 years from now, to be able to use it as part of the bicentennial? Not only that, but some beautification of the town. Year after year, I travel through the town through the major intersections of the town. My classic example would be the Curry Road, Helderberg Avenue intersection. And I will see 4-foot-high weeds growing at that intersection of the sidewalk. I believe that's DOT and county, but as we know, nothing gets done, okay, until maybe the end of the summer when the stuff is very high, and then someone must complain to the point where the sight distance is so poor, they ask it to be taken care of. Do we have the ability in the town to solicit businesses to sponsor, eat flowers at some of these major intersections? Do we take it upon ourselves to do? I donate my time. I get up on 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning to come out and actually weed whack the intersections if we could, and it's not an issue relative to the state and county to be able to do that. Because, again, if we're coming up on a bicentennial, why would we want our town looking pretty nice, given all these tremendous recommendations we just heard from the town historian? At the same time, let's make our town look good. It's part of that quality of life issue that I continue to mention when I come to these meetings. So sidewalk beautification, I'm raising my hand right now, volunteering my time on weekends during this summer to make some of these intersections look a little nicer. A couple other general comments that I'd have. For the last 6 months, I've been attending the Planning Commission meetings. One of the comments that I've made is the town hall here is not set up very well for the meetings. When I come, I sit in the same spot I usually do for the town board meetings, and I don't get to participate in the meetings because I can't see anything. All the presentations are just like they are right now to the Planning Commission and the Planning Board. We could have 20 people in the audience here. They can't see anything that's going on in front of this podium, okay? There's maps, there's conversations going on. Has the town looked at cameras in here and some TVs so that the residents, again, can participate in meetings? I think that we would see more people come to meetings if they could participate in the meetings.
Mr. Dodson, if I may, full disclosure, Mr. Dodson actually made that suggestion to me directly. I brought it to the supervisor, and we are going to try to budget exactly what your suggestion is. I thought it was a good suggestion, putting some sort of monitors back here or in front here.
Yes.
So if the camera is over there, that live feed can also come, because you're right. I've made presentations from that podium, like nobody in the audience can see this document, and that's an amazing document. So clearly it was a valid suggestion, and I brought it immediately to the supervisor, and it is, it's more than under consideration.
I appreciate that, thank you. Two other ones I'd like to mention. Been a tough winter, very tough winter. Tough winter on our infrastructure. We all know Altamont Avenue, tough. Water main in there, I presume it's old, because there's been many breaks. We're starting to get more locations on Altamont Avenue that are holes and repairs from that main. I'm just wondering again, is that on the town's radar? To tough spot, very expensive to replace the main. Is it in the master plan to replace that?
I can tell you that we are looking at all those mains along Altamont Avenue, Prairie Road. So, and that particular stretch has always been a problem because that area was filled in years ago. So with that, I know that we're weighing all of our options to see what it is that we can do and try to clean those out over the next few years.
The last item I have that I'd like to mention is there's a resolution tonight, 11918, pertaining to an expansion of a previously approved solar farm that was 200 kW. I recall less than 6 months ago coming to the Planning Commission meeting, and I came to this podium to talk about that project. And one of the questions I had on that project right from the get-go was I received documentation that they submitted as part of that site plan approval that talked about that being something larger than 200 kW. And I think at the time there was some paperwork that was probably close to the 600 that they're looking at now. The issue I have with that is a seeker, again, part one, full EAF was submitted on that, and there's a question in there that asks if the project was going to be phased. And, you know, I sat here and listened to the planning commission tell me again that, and the developer say that, no, we're going for just 200 KW. And then, and I pointed out in their literature where it showed higher, okay, a larger project, and they told me, no, it's 200 KW. Now I'm seeing on the agenda, a new public hearing coming on that's talking about tripling the size of the solar farm. And again, that isn't how projects are done. If you have a proposal where you're coming in, and within a 6-month period, you're gonna come back to the town planning commission and the town board asking for a public hearing to triple the size of that, you knew back then that you were gonna have a 600 KW solar farm. And again, I wonder how this happens in the town of Rotterdam. I mean, you can't come in with a development and say that you're gonna do one thing, only 6 months later to come in and triple the size of it.
This is a call for a public hearing, so we'll find out.
I'm just bringing that to your attention. I will attend that public hearing. Again, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
And 16.
And now I have to, before we even begin here, just to let you know, Ms. McGraw went out to speak with the deputy chief and some of the folks that were here earlier. So, but I was made aware by Ms. McGraw that the contract that we have regarding resolution number 12418, after we just had a couple questions go out to the chief, so we need to table that. I apologize for that, short notice to all of you, but we do need to table that resolution until the chief and I have a discussion on the contract prior to me signing, okay?
Can we make that
So
motion?
could you make that motion now,
All right, Mr.
please?
Supervisor, in the interest of efficiency, I'd like to request that we make a motion that we table resolution 12418 pending further investigation between the town supervisor and the chief of police.
Okay. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. So a motion by member Mr. Christou and a second by Mr. Signor. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Mark, would you call the roll to table 12418, please?
Sure. To table 12418, Mr. Christou,
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera,
Yes.
Mr. Signor,
Yes.
Mr. Thomason.
Yes.
5 yes to table.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, because I want to ensure that we have that correct to the chief's approval. I apologize, I thought we did too. We'll get that in the next meeting. Okay, let's move into the resolutions then. Resolution 11818.
Adopt specific meeting dates for the Town of Rotterdam 2018 meeting schedule with the amendment that we made in the agenda meeting for the special meeting on Friday, May 11th, 2018 at 6 o'clock.
I'll move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Miller Herrera. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Mark, call the roll, please.
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 11818 passes. Resolution 11918.
Call for public hearing to be held on Wednesday, April 25th, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the John F. Kirby Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, for the following purpose. Request by Monolith Solar Associates to discuss the allowance to expand a previously approved 200 kW solar farm up to a 600 kW facility on a 6.13 acre parcel located in the Aquifer Overlay District on tax map number 12.2-4.1 Main Street in Rotterdam Junction, New York, 12150.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Christou, second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Miller Herrera. Anyone on the question?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So are they proposing an entirely new project or
It's an
additional phases?
expanded project.
So how's their presentation gonna be? They
They're
already did their one, correct?
Yes,
So this is gonna be an entirely new presentation?
yes, for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just for the public hearing.
Right, this is a call for the public.
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah, no, I
Yeah,
understand.
he understands, yeah. All right, thanks very much, yeah. Anyone else on 119? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution 119 passes. Resolution 12018.
Call for public hearing to be held on Wednesday, April 25th, 2018, at 7 p.m. at the John F. Kerwin Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, for the following purpose. Request by Joseph Santuccione, thank you, to discuss the allowance to expand an existing automobile and truck repair facility on a 0.33 acre parcel located in the Aquifer Overlay Zone on tax map number 12.10-1-1, 1669 Main Street in Rotterdam Junction, New York, 12150.
Okay, motion, please.
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Signor, second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Christo. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, call the roll, please.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 120 passes. Resolution 12118.
Call for a public hearing to be held on Wednesday, April 25th at the John F. Kerwin Government Center, Town Hall, 1100 Sunrise Boulevard, Rotterdam, New York, 12306, upon adoption of a proposed local law of the year 2018 for the following purpose: to amend Chapter 194, Section 11 of the Code of the Town of Rotterdam entitled Parks and Playgrounds, Nature Trails, Section B as follows. 6. Parking of vehicles in excess of 2 tons excluding school buses is prohibited.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Signor. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Mr. Gitterelli. Anyone on the question?
Mr. Supervisor, does this include town parks vehicles or no?
No, the municipal vehicles are
Exempt.
exempt. But this is basically to ensure, and, you know, obviously under the threat of getting a ticket, that tractor trailers, snow plows, and even the municipal snow plows, okay, so our snow plows are not gonna use that as a stopping area, staging area, because we spent a lot of money to improve this park. This is the Great Flats Aquifer. Those type of vehicles should not be parked there. They should not be allowed in that parking area at all. They'll be strictly prohibited. More importantly, we're going to do just a few other improvements there besides signage, and so that you'll see more happen here. And the signage that we're putting up also, I don't want to see a big vehicle, frankly, take it out. That's the other thing too, because it's a tight area really to turn around. If there's other vehicles parked in there, you can't really get in and out of there easily. But school buses obviously are exempted, so that, you know, our schools go there with children to see the trail and see nature. And so that's why we asked for this amendment. Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll on 121?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 121 passes. Resolution 12218.
Adopt local law number 4 of the year 2018 for the following purpose: to allow for local adoption to eliminate the 10-year limit on RPTL Section 458B Cold War exemption. Public hearing was called for at the town board meeting on February 28, 2018. Public hearing was held at the town board meeting of March 14, 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Ms. Miller Herrera. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Christo. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 122 passes. Resolution 12318.
Adopt local law number 5 of the year 2018 for the following purpose: to amend Chapter 266, Section 46 of the Code of the Town of Rotterdam entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 6, Stop intersections as follows: install stop signs on Trinity Avenue in both directions at the intersection of Scott Street. Public hearing was called for at the town board meeting of March 14, 2018. Public hearing was held at the town board meeting of March 28, 2018.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Signor. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Christo. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 12318 passes. Resolution 12518.
125-18. Authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Cummings Sales and Service, 101 Railroad Avenue, Albany, New York, 12205, for planned equipment maintenance for a 3-year period commencing in 2018 through 2020, in an amount not to exceed $17,630.51.
Okay, motion, please.
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Christo, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
And second by Mr. Signor. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Markey, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Christophe?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yeah, this is the one for the generator.
Yes.
Yeah, to keep the generators up and working and.
So I'm seeing all line items for inspections, full inspection.
They change everything, they maintain.
So parts are included?
Yes, they maintain everything. Maybe I'll say minor parts are included. If there's something major, obviously, we need to replace this. That's different, but this is regular maintenance of those generators. That's it. Okay.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 125 passes. Now, under consent items, again, we have resolutions 126, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134. Any questions on any of those?
I have a question in regard to the two we tabled. I know
Yeah.
we ran out of time.
Sure.
Previous. So table pending, question mark.
Well, what we'll do is my understanding from the board is that we'll have the final results at the end of the month on our reserves, and we'll have the inventory of the equipment and everything else that we have, and then we'll potentially move forward with these resolutions at a later date, probably the May meeting, the first meeting in May. We'll try
First
to,
meeting in May. Okay.
that would be my,
That's as long
That's
out,
my
out
goal.
as we will go.
yeah, that's as long out as I think we can go, because there's, several months lead time on having a plow delivered.
Oh, yeah.
So, we can't go too far past that, okay? Okay? And on resolution, where are we here? No, I think that's it. I was gonna mention,
Is someone going to make the motion, John?
yeah.
Or
We-
Steve?
Yeah,
Mr. Supervisor, I make a motion to accept the consent items 12618, 12918, 13018, 13118, 13218, 13318, and 13418.
okay. We have a motion by Mr. Christo. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Miller Herrera. Okay, anyone in the question again? No, Ms. Marco, would you call the roll?
Mr. Christophe?
Yes.
Mr. Guidarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera? Yes. Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, the resolutions pass, 126, 129, and 133, 134. You have something? Okay. All right. Steve.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor.
What do we got here? Okay. Do we have here?
I would like to make a motion to add resolution 13518 to the town board agenda. The purpose of this resolution is to amend the meeting minutes from the March 28th, 2018 town board meeting to accurately reflect the minutes of that meeting. So, motion is
Oh,
made.
okay. I see what this is.
Okay, I've included the resolution, I've included the email, and I apologize, I was late in getting this email to Ms. Marco. But the attached email, and then the backup with the highlights on it is the backup from the Association of Towns, Town Clerk's Manual.
Mr. Thomasson, may I have a moment?
For,
I just wanted to know if this is going to be the procedure from this point on, because up until from 2012 till now, I've always done it that way, so we're going to change it.
we have a motion on the floor, so let me entertain the
Okay.
motion first.
Sure.
And we can have a
Sure.
discussion under that. So we have a motion by Mr. Christo to add resolution 13518 to the agenda, to amend the minutes of the March 28th town board meeting. And
To accurately reflect the minutes of that meeting.
thank you, to accurately reflect the minutes of that meeting. Do we have a second to add resolution 13518?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Signor. Okay, so
So I have a
On the
question.
question about it, go ahead.
So there were discrepancies on the first draft that was submitted or adopted?
Yeah, there was a format,
Final.
concern, and so I have attached the backup from the Association of Towns, and I can read through that. On page 40 of the yellow highlight, it says, "The content of town minutes is guided by state law and local practice. Town law specifically requires the vote upon every question shall be taken by ayes and noes, and names of members present, their votes shall be entered in the minutes." Second page says, "The record of which town clerk makes the official record of acts of the town board, this record should briefly show," and item 5 says, "all resolutions, acts, or motions." And that's what was not included, was the motions, and I would suggest that we do that with tonight's minutes as well. Give it an exact detail as introduced and adopted. A record showing the vote by ayes or noes of each member of the board on each resolution, act, or motion. Goes on to say that errors will occasionally occur where corrections or amendments are needed. Both the Committee on Open Government and the State Controller have opined that a town board member may not unilaterally alter or direct that minutes be altered. Rather, the minutes may only be amended pursuant to action taken by a majority of total membership of the town board. Most importantly, amendments or correction may only be made if the changes accurately reflect what transpired at a meeting. And there was some questions on publication. According to page 47 of the manual, there is no requirement as yet that the minutes be published or posted on a website, although a town board is not precluded from so posting or publishing. The open meetings law does, however, require that the minutes be made available to the public pursuant to the Freedom of Information law. A decision to publish the minutes of a town board meeting must be made by the affirmative vote of a majority of all the members of the town board. Okay? So while the terms motion and resolution are often used interchangeably, it should be pointed out that there is a difference. A motion is a proposal to bring before the town a particular subject for consideration and action at a meeting. All motions and their dispositions should be entered into the minutes. So based on that research, and again, this is more of an administrative thing, again, I will apologize for not getting it to the clerk sooner than last Friday, but we might as well clean it up, and past practice doesn't always mean that that's the right way to do things, so if this is the way that it should be done, I would suggest this is how we do it.
Well, I think what you have here accurately reflects what happened, so I'm supportive. Do we have any other questions on adding resolution 13518 to the agenda? Okay, let's take a roll call vote to add to the agenda.
So first we add it to the agenda, and then we
I
go
thought
on.
Yes.
Mr. Christo, I thought he said to add it.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So we have a motion by Mr. Chris, second by Mr. Signor. I'm sorry, did I say add?
He
No,
said to add.
I apologize.
That's
We
okay.
have a vote, please. Call the roll.
Mr. Christo to
Yes,
add,
yes.
Mr. Guidarelli to add,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera to add.
Here.
I'm sorry? Yes. Mr. Signor to
Yes.
add,
Yes.
and Mr. Tomazone to add.
Yes. Okay, so now we've added 13518. Can we have you just go through the resolution quickly and just read it down, Diane, so it's reflected in the record, and then what we'll do is we'll have a motion.
Okay. Resolution 13518, therefore upon motion of Councilmember Evan Christo and
The
seconded by...
motion hasn't been made.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry, I'm
sorry,
sorry,
you don't-
okay.
yeah, it's okay,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
Section
Be it
one.
resolved by
Section
the
one.
town board as follows. Number 1, the town board of the town of Rotterdam hereby amends the minutes of March 28, 2018 town board meeting pursuant to section 63 of the town law of the state of New York as follows. Motion number 01.18. Therefore, upon motion of Councilmember Miller Herrera, seconded by Councilmember Signor, be it resolved by the town board as follows. Motion to table section 2 of resolution 109 of 2018, dated March 28, 2018. A blank for Mr. Christo, but all the rest are all yeses. Motion number 02.18. Therefore, upon motion of Councilmember Christo, seconded by Councilmember Guidarelli, be it resolved by the town board as follows. Motion to table resolution 113 of 2018, dated March 28, 2018. All yeses, and Mr. Tomazone voted no.
Okay.
you-
So now we have just a motion to add, or to, excuse me, for accepting resolution 13518 to vote on it.
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Christou, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Guidarelli. Anyone on the question?
Ready?
All right.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Signor?
Yes.
Mr. Thomason?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 13518 passes. Okay, so we have committee reports and miscellaneous.
Can I just ask a question, Steve?
Sure.
I just wanted to know that, is this gonna be the format from this point on
I-
because of it being tabled? Because we tabled stuff tonight, and I just was gonna continue the way I've done it. I've never had a problem with that, so that's what I need to know.
I think that, let's just say that tomorrow we'll discuss the formatting.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay.
And the short answer is yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so, under committee reports, Steve, do you, or Sam, I know you both have something, but,
Saturday, April 28th, 2018, from 9 a.m. to noon, there will be the annual Canal Clean Sweep Up at the Kiwanis Boat Launch on Route 5S. It's actually kind of fun, and a nice day to go down there, be by the water. It's one of the few times I don't mind raking, so come out, bring your rakes, bring your gloves, and I believe the information will be posted on our website.
yes, it is
And-
already, I think, on there.
Okay.
Yeah. This was
And it indicates refreshments will be served. Usually there's some breakfasty items that are delicious. So, that's all I got.
tabled. Okay.
Want me to go?
Yeah, let's see.
Yes, also announcing that Mohonison's Technology Enrichment program for Rotterdam senior citizens, which is going to be held Wednesday, April 18th at 5:45 at Mahonison Central School. Basically working on workshops for seniors to better understand their devices, their iPads, their iPods, their laptops. I don't think you'll be able to bring your desktops in there, it's going to be a little bit too bulky. But they'll help you, right, they'll help you if you want to. And it's offered specifically for the Rotterdam Senior Association. There's going to be 3 workshops that are going to be free, and you will be able to get more information on it if you wanted to call the Center for Advanced Technology. And that number, in case anyone wants to take it down or as it goes out on public access, 518-356-8461. It's free. So bring your devices with you. And the workshops will be phased, going from 6:20 to 6:50, 6:55 to 7:25, and 7:30 to 8 p.m. And there are going to be a variety of computer-related educational programs.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Supervisor, I make a motion to adjourn?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Christo to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Miller Herrera. Anyone on the question of adjournment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Technology forms are up here if anybody would like one.